Welcome to the Edge Up Podcast with your hosts Reed and Glenn from Hawai'i Trading Academy. Welcome to the Edge Up Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Today we got a special guest here, my good friend, my buddy, Brandon Rabe, Breaking Rhythm. He is a husband. He's a father. Brother in Christ. He's a real estate investor. I think what a story, man. I don't want to blur it out for the rest of the audience, but he specializes in commercial real estate, I think, or residential real estate, both, and looking to make a big impact. Oh, and he's a high performance coach. I forgot to point that out. So welcome, Brandon. Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. Great to be here, Glenn, Reed. Really appreciate the opportunity.
So yeah, let's get started, man. Just share a little bit about your background. I think you made a big career change this year, and what led to that, and what are you doing now?
So, born and raised Honolulu, Hawaii. Just did the whole thing. Went to school, graduated high school, thankfully. Chose not to go to college initially, just go straight into the workforce. Got a full-time job like 2 weeks after high school, and great company, great benefits, great pay and everything. And somewhere along the lines, maybe 10 years of working that job, a good friend of mine that might be here on this podcast gave me a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, I read that book, right, by Robert Kiyosaki. He talked about passive income, and through passive income, that put me on the path to come across real estate investing. And in 2019, that's when I really started going head in real estate, just educating myself, listening to the books and the podcasts, meeting with other investors. And then at the beginning of 2020, January of 2020, that's when I got my first rental property out in the Midwest. It's a single family home. And ever since 2020, just been actively investing. Kind of like you said, Glenn, just in the residential space. I've been dabbling in the commercial, but more so in the single family residential. And since 2021, been a high performance coach. So I've been, working on personal development, not only in myself, but with other individuals as well. So it's been pretty cool. Been an awesome and fulfilling journey so far. And then, earlier 2023, I got to step away from my full-time W-2 job and jump into investing and coaching full-time. So here I am.
Oh, love it, bro. Love it. I gave you that book. I don't remember. Maybe because you didn't give it back. But
I don't know what happened, but it was you, man. It was you.
Sweet.
Man, changing lives out here, man.
Was there any direct influence on what got you started into the residential real estate? I think you invested in your first property 2019, I think. Yeah.
The tail end of 2019 into 2020.
Yeah. What was going through your mind, bro?
I mean, besides passive income and creating that, extra stream, it was really just wanting to create more time with my family. Because at the, 2019, I had a 1-year-old daughter, or 1.5-year-old,
Right.
Bella was around that age. And at my job, as a delivery driver, the times when I would finish work was inconsistent. Some days I would get off kind of late, some days I would get off really late, and it just really made it difficult to do things throughout the week. So just wanted to create more time with my family and then that extra income. And it just made sense for me to start with residential real estate just because I didn't have a ton of cash to start with in the beginning. And it was something I could understand, like buying an apartment building, buying a self-storage facility, that was a bit too big for me to conceptualize in the beginning. But buying a single family house, I've never done it before up to that point, but it seemed easy enough to take on.
Did you learn? Did you take any courses, or did you just went along? Did you go on the YouTube University, or how'd you figure that out?
I was spinning my wheels for a couple months, man. So Rich Dad Poor Dad was the first book I ever read cover to cover after high school, and then that just kind of led the way for me to read other books about investing and mindset and so forth. I was listening to podcasts. I was going to networking events. But for the whole majority of 2019, I wasn't taking any action because I was stuck in analysis paralysis. A lot of education, not a lot of action, until I went to a meetup and I met my mentor, or he became my mentor. I was at like right around Thanksgiving of 2019.
How many years did it take approximately from you picking up that book to like where you're at? Would you call yourself
That's
good
like
good safety net, you know?
probably 3 years, maybe 3.5
Years.
Years.
That's an
Yeah.
incredible fast return. You know, that's awesome, dude. That's fast. Yeah. And because I think you mentioned it, you said a key word is action. Yeah. A lot of people read it. I know I was like in analysis process for like a year, like years, man. Just like reading books, just more education, but not taking the actions like within the books, you know? And that's super key right there for growth, right? Immediate growth. Take action.
Percent. Like, people say knowledge is power, but I believe it's knowledge in action, which is power,
Mm.
when you apply it. Because if how-tos were enough, we'd all be rich, we'd all be skinny, we'd all be happy, but not necessarily the case, right? We got to put action into it.
Absolutely. I was gonna say like if knowledge was a case, then a lot of all the professors and teachers and whatnot would be like super balling and
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
not this to them. There, we need professors and teachers, that's for sure. How many properties you got so far under your belt?
We're at 13 properties right now, 13
Let's
single family
go.
homes out there in the Midwest. Yeah.
Nice.
Go. Did you ever
all,
think
all
you?
out here on Oahu?
No, nothing here on Oahu. Yeah,
Oh,
they're all
nice.
out
Okay,
out
cool.
there in Kansas City.
Nice, bro. Nice. Like, yeah, I guess they don't have a lot of real estate out here for cheap, or a reasonable price. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, you can make money out here too. It's just that the strategy that I'm using, the market doesn't support it, So
Different market.
yeah.
Well, would it be a possibility to dive into the market here, the local market?
Say down the line, So like the thing about out here is like because the prices are so high, if you're like somebody who's trying to just preserve your wealth, then yeah, you're okay parking a couple $100,000 in a property and letting appreciation do its thing over time. And then you reap the benefits later on, which I'm not there yet.
Mm.
So, it just depends on the play that you're trying to do and what your circumstances are. But yeah, maybe, I don't know, 10 years or so from now, maybe buy something here, just
Let's
park
talk.
it, let it go.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about like kind of what's happening right now, right? We got the Fed rising rates, right? I think it was what is it at? 7-8%, if not more. I don't know.
Probably, yeah. I don't know what it's at. I know it's high though.
Okay. We got that going on. We got very little like it's one of the lowest amount recorded that of mortgage applications. So very little buyers. Nobody wants to sell their home to get out of their amazing 2.3 point interest mortgage. So how would you describe the current state right now of the real estate market? Are are builders still building? Are realtors still selling?
I think I'll speak to real estate locally in the market that I invest in.
Yeah.
Because overall, I mean, yeah, the situation doesn't look that great. At least we get to be more creative as investors, right? On how to make the deals work. But regarding Kansas City, the market is still hot. People are still buying and selling. Transactions are still going on. There are small things like days on market, a little bit longer, right? Prices that are the closed prices are coming in a bit under ask. So there's still a little bit of shifting in the market in Kansas City, but not a whole lot. There's still opportunities out there. Like 2 weeks ago, we just bought a property and then we went under contract on one the other day, and then we should be under contract on another one first week of October, right? So there's still opportunities out there.
Yeah.
It just looks different from how it was when I first started, where rates were super low. Everybody was, just selling and everything. So it really just depends, as far as market goes too. Like what I like to think for myself is just focusing on what I can control. The rates, whatever the Fed does, those things are outside of my control, but I am in control of how I run my numbers, right? I am in control of what criteria I set, like for my buy box, what kind of property I'm looking for, the margins that I'm looking for, right? So it's just, yeah, focusing on what I can control.
Yeah, building on that. So it sounds like you have some sort of process when it comes to investing, right? Like you mentioned, like some of those criteria, like could you share some of that criteria and what comes to mind when you're ready to pull the trigger?
So like as far as process goes, I didn't make this up. It's called the BRRRR method. It stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And essentially, that's what I'm doing. And it allows me to get into properties with very little, if not none, of my own capital and still own it as a rental on the back end. So I'll buy a property, 50% of its value because it needs work, it's distressed, whatever, right? Then I'll renovate it. I'll do the kitchen, flooring, bath, paint, basically force appreciate and increase its value. When it's ready to be rented, I'll put a renter in there. And after 6 months and a day or whatever the seasoning requirements are for that lender, I'll go and do a cash out refinance. So in the cash out refinance, the bank will give me 75 to 80% of the value of the property. And if everything goes well, I can pull out everything, if not most of what I put into it, and basically own the property for a couple $1,000 maybe, if not zero. So that's basically the process that I'm using to continue to get other properties. And I think you asked about like the mindset, right? Or how do I decide?
Yeah, like you have, say you're looking at like three homes meet your criteria. How do you figure out which one to buy? Do you buy them all?
That would be like an opportunity to celebrate, right? So long as I got it at the right price.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I got 3 properties, I mean, I guess it would really depend on what's going on, like where I am in my cycle, right? Am I in stabilization? Am I trying to grow? Like what is the objective of those properties that I'm planning to buy? So if I'm looking for cash flow, for example, what do the cash flows numbers look like after I refinance? If it looks great, okay, cool, I'll move forward. Or if I'm just looking for a property to, I have a private investor, he needs to park his cash someplace, I just need to pick something up at that moment, then I might look for that type of deal where I can just plug in his capital, and it may or may not cash flow. That's okay. I'm just looking for something to put his money to work, right? So it just depends on what's going on at that time, and it changes from deal to deal.
Does like the amount of properties that you're currently holding affect your decision to purchase a new property?
Used to,
Yeah.
and I'll say that was a mindset thing. I would think so. Like in the beginning, right? Like let's say after like 4 or 5 properties, I'm thinking, okay, I can't buy another one. I gotta wait for these properties to stabilize. Which there's value in stabilizing the property, but at the same time, in the whole grand scheme of things, I'm looking for accumulation, right? I'm looking for growth to multiply. So how does stabilizing it to a point where it looks a certain way serving me if there's opportunities presenting itself? So back then, yeah, size of the portfolio did kind of hold me back just because of my mindset. But right now, it's like if opportunity presents itself, even if I don't have the capital for it, if the numbers make sense, I'm going to go for it. That literally happened in the last one.
How did you get over that mental roadblock?
I would have to say a big part of it was just having somebody in my corner.
Yeah.
I personally subscribe to coaching.
Yeah.
So having that one-on-one mentor there, working with me every week, challenging my thought process, that definitely helped. And then I've gone through some leadership training and personal development training as well. That's helped. And then I like to read. So reading books, things like Gap in the Gain, other mindset books, those things help as well. So yeah, it's just a constant growing cycle.
What book are you reading right now?
Prayer of Jabez.
What is that?
It's a very cool book. I just started that like a day or 2 days ago. It's pretty good so far. Right before that, though, I completed a book. It was called If How-Tos Were Enough by Brian Clemmer. And that one is really good too. A really good mindset book.
Mindset.
But they're both not necessarily the same type of book. Prayer of Jabez is more like kind of spiritual and tapping into your purpose and so forth. The other book is more about just overcoming limiting beliefs, handling, just becoming a better version of yourself. Yeah.
Love it, man. Yeah. I love self-developmental books too, bro. Right now I'm reading Best Loser Wins. It's pretty good trading book, Glenn. But,
okay.
Yeah, I did wanted to touch, like, dude, your language. It sounds like things that we talk about. Like, for example, it's and it's cool how transmissible like these characteristics of any market is like the mindset. And you talked about how we can't control the outcome, right? You could just be ready for the opportunity, really. And I mean that's like to our backbone too with trading. So I kind of wanted to ask this one is like how does does intuition come into play with any of this? Is like that part of like the part of the strategy, you know?
Great question. I wouldn't say it's part of the strategy, but it definitely does come up. This person gave me this advice, and it has served me to some extent. And he says that when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down. And maybe you guys can relate to that too. And
yes, 100% in trading. Yeah, definitely got to
Yeah.
reel in those emotions. I love that,
Right.
dude. That's a
Right.
amazing.
What
right
was
there.
to repeat it one more time?
Yeah.
When emotion goes up, intelligence goes down.
Yeah.
And I found
Yes.
that in my journey, like, yeah, when I made decisions off of emotion, I don't want to say it led to bad like outcomes, because I believe that everything happens for us and not to us, but definitely, I could have thought things out much better, right? Instead of just getting super excited, making a decision, and then, oh, shucks, goes the other way, or being super down and super depressed and make a decision based off of that. Now I miss out on opportunity. So as far as intuition goes, like, I'll use it, maybe like in analyzing. I guess like the most recent example was the property that we just locked up the other day. And with this property, it was an off-market property, no realtors involved, no representation. With those type of transactions, there tends to be like non-refundable earnest money deposit, no inspection period. Pretty much once you lock it up, you are closing no matter what.
Fast close, like the whole
Yeah,
process
like
is fast.
10-day close. Yeah.
Oh,
So with that, it's like, yeah, I look at the pictures. They have videos. I estimate what the renovation is going to be. My general contractor hasn't even gone out there yet, to give me solid numbers. But I'm just like, based off of all the things that I've done and the individuals that I've worked with and the deals that I've seen, I'm estimating rehab to be this amount, and the value of the property is going to be this amount. So this is where I need to buy it at. Let's just go for it.
so a lot of it's based on experience, right? You're kind of what you're kind of saying, and that gives is that. So I mean, obviously, it gave you enough confidence to go forward with the deal.
It did, and there's been a couple deals that I've passed up.
Yeah.
Where it's like I kicked myself in the butt thinking, man, I should have just took the next step. I should have just went after it instead of playing into the negative what ifs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, for every situation, there's three sides to it. Just like a coin.
Exactly.
The head, tails, and the side. Exactly. So it's like, man, if I'm going to play on the negative side, what would happen if I played on the positive side? So that kind of helped as well with the decision on this one. Yeah, things could go wrong, but what if things go right? You know what I mean?
So you're kind of in the neutral, like you're kind of keeping the emotions at bay, and then you're seeing opportunity. You see a good deal, right? You're gonna go based on what you got. You're gonna go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it ties into trading a lot, man. Right there,
100%.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. And then I'm sure, like with you guys, it's just having multiple exit strategies. So that's what I kind of build in as well. Of course,
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, exactly. Worst case scenario, because there's so many different variables that could happen. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if I told you, Glenn, but like the other day, multiple trees fell over on multiple properties, and each tree to remove one is like $2,000, right? Depending on how big it is and so forth.
Damn.
So it's like, and so funny story, on one of the properties. So I bought a house that was like 90% burnt down, right? So we redid everything, the framing, the roof.
What's left? 90%? Is it ashes at that point?
Almost, but I got it at such a good deal, I couldn't pass it up. So we bought that. Yeah, we did that.
Frames.
We redid the whole property, super brand new. And I went to go get insurance on the property, and I was like, shoot, everything is brand new. What could possibly go wrong? Let me shoot for a little bit higher deductible.
Yeah.
Right. Just to, make the cash flow that much sweeter. And of course, nothing happened to the home itself. It was the exterior, the trees that fell over. So there were 50-foot trees in the backyard, multiple fell over. And the amount to remove those trees was just under my deductible. And yeah, I mean, Had I just gone like with my normal plan of getting the smallest deductible and paying a little bit in the premium, no problem, right? You know, what's like $2,000 for deductible?
Right.
Instead, I get hit with a $7,000 bill.
Yeah.
I have a question that kind of relates. As far as risk management goes, do you go in with a plan like, okay, I'm willing to lose this amount on this deal, or are you in it like all the way till the end? I don't care how it goes. Like, is there a moment where you're like, this is risk management, I've lost X amount percent, dollar figure, or I feel this way and that's my exit strategy? Do you have it like that yeah, how does risk come into play?
Yeah, thankfully I haven't got to that point where I'm like, well, maybe I have actually, where I've considered just offloading property because it hasn't been performing to what I thought it was. But before that, so like during the due diligence period, I'm already running, like what Glenn said, worst case scenarios. I'm running multiple different, scenarios of what could go wrong. Could the appraisal come under? Could the rehab come above? Could the rehab take longer? Could it sit vacant longer? Right? Like I'm running different scenarios. And before that due diligence period ends, I make what I call a statement of purpose. Statement of purpose is basically writing down all the worst case scenarios that I run in my head on paper. And then I'm signing it. Like, hey, on September 19, 2023,
To yourself?
I am choosing to move forward to myself. Yeah.
To yourself.
Wow,
To
that's
myself.
solid.
That
The
way,
bank's
when
not
things
asking for
come
this.
up,
You're doing this on your own.
yeah. Well, it was
That's
part of the
good.
training that I got with my mentor, right?
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great tip.
Yeah.
That's valuable right there.
And I did that when I left my job too.
Yeah.
So this doesn't apply just to real estate. I mean, it
Yeah.
can apply to multiple areas.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you ever ripped up any of those statement of purpose?
I felt like it,
Things change.
but yeah, as far as risk management goes, I mean, I run multiple worst case scenarios, get it down on paper. When those things happen, I go back to my statement of purpose, read it, take full responsibility over it, and just figure out what's next, right? It's kind of like that short phrase, so what? What is it? So what? Now what?
Yeah.
Can't change it. I can't go back and put the trees back up, or I can't go back and unclog the collapsed sewer line or whatever. It's something I get to deal with. Yeah. And in the long term, see, the thing with buy and hold investing compared to flipping is if things don't go our way, we're not making as much cash flow as we want, or we're not making the return or whatever it is, I just get to hold it longer than I thought. I'm not forced to sell the property in a flipping situation. You know what I mean? Where I'm at the mercy of the market. Like right now, if the rates are going up, I'm probably not going to sell.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to hold and ride it out because I know in the long term it will probably come back down or things will get better. You know what I mean? And I'm not in that position to sell. So yeah, as a buy and hold investor, I think that's one of the biggest advantages is if things aren't going the way that I thought, all I get to do is hold it longer.
This is great, man. Brandon, I have a question for you though. Like people learn from their losses. So can you share like one of your biggest losses in this field, in this career that you've experienced so far, and like what you've learned out from it and how you've overcame that?
Biggest loss that comes to mind, I think this is maybe my second or third property. Must have been my third. So it was a general contractor. And for my first two, I used a trusted general contractor, right? My mentor was working with him. Other people that I knew was working with him already. He did a great job, but I had built up the confidence to go out and build my own team and work with my own general contractor. And with this general contractor, everything was cool in the beginning, very communicative. The numbers, his prices worked out great. The plan, we had everything laid out. It was really good. And slowly, like over the course of a month, communication started dwindling, started asking for more money. Eventually, it led to him taking about 30 grand of the bid and doing maybe like $5,000 worth of work. And he just left and skipped town. The lesson that I learned from that is trust but verify. So trust that the GC is doing everything he says he's doing, because he was updating me like every day, right? Hey, this is what we're doing. Here's some pictures. What kind of fixtures do you want? What kind of, asking me questions and getting my feedback as well. So I thought everything was going fine when, he's sending me fake pictures of other properties, and he's flat out lying.
Artist, straight up.
Yeah. So like I'd have people like I had this one friend in particular out there in Kansas City. I'm on the phone with him in front of my property, while I'm texting the contractor, and he's like, "Yeah, we're doing work at your property. You know, everything's going well." And my friend is like, "No, nobody's here, man." Like,
Oh,
and then
that's so messed up, man. Wait, so
yeah,
I guess side question here is, how often are you flying back and forth? Or you got people on ground where like you don't need to do the expense of flying, basically.
yeah. For the most part, I already have people there. Well, it's really just the real estate agents, property managers, those real estate professionals. I've personally been out there twice. Once in 2021, and then earlier this year in April.
Yeah, so not too often. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. It allows me to really rely on the team and also remove emotion out. But I
Yeah.
get some people, they like to visit the market and see what they're getting into. That's totally fine too. But yeah, the biggest lesson is really trust but verify.
Just to verify.
Okay, cool. Trust but
Mhm.
verifies the lesson. Got it. Thanks, man.
What would you think the biggest mistake? This is a little bonus question. What would you think the biggest mistakes that beginner investors make when starting out their career, especially in your field, Brandon? What do you think the biggest mistakes are?
I have two answers for that. So first one is around mindset, and it's really not setting goals and getting clear around it. So like because I hold networking events, I get to talk to a lot of brand new guys. They want to do buy and hold, they want to do flipping, they want to do wholesale, and they want to do all these different things, right? And by just not having clarity and focusing on one thing, they're not making any traction, right? They're being mediocre in a bunch of things instead of excellent in one thing.
Do you think like, how there's different buy and hold, there's flipping and all that? Do you think, from what you see, do you think there's a relation in like the kind of personality a person has and like to find what they're successful in that specific avenue? Is there a correlation there?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess, because I'm thinking of all the people that I know that are in flipping and wholesaling.
Yeah. Are there a certain type of
Somewhat,
person,
I think it's really just what they're after, like I wouldn't say they have different personalities outside of people in buy and hold, but more so what their end goal is, like for the flipping guys, they just want to make a lot of capital quick and create like a business out of that. Guys that do wholesaling, it's kind of weird with wholesaling. Like the guys that wholesale say they do it because they want to generate more capital to get into buy and hold. When really, if they just focus on buy and hold, they can have wholesaling as a part of it anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really noticed a different set of mindset or personalities between the different strategies. I think it's really just their end goal. Like what is it that they really want? Yeah. That's a great question.
No, I mean, reason why I ask is because, in the trading world, there is a correlation in finding the trading style that you're in with your, making sure it meshes with your personality. Reed and I have gone through this ourselves. I spent over a year and a half finding out what my trading style is, and of course you pay tuition, you pay for losses, you pay for just the disappointment, Well, I was wondering if that was a similar, but what would you describe as what characteristics would you find in a successful investor?
So I would say number one, taking personal responsibility. So many variables with investing. I'm sure you guys see it as well, that with whatever decision we make, we get to own the result of that, positive and negative. So I would say being able to take responsibility, not lay blame to any other person or any other situation or anything like that. That'd be one. Another one, having integrity. With real estate, it's a lot of relationship based type of things, and word tends to spread quickly, especially here locally. Like with us being on an island, you do shady deals or you can do somebody wrong, people in the community are going to find out. So just have integrity, I would say, is another one. And persistence. So to get to, like, in general, real estate investing is very simple, right? Find a market, analyze the deal, submit an offer, you lock it up and everything. But in reality, to get to that one property that you close on, you're offering like 50 offers on 50 properties. To get to those 50 properties, you're analyzing 150 properties. You know what I mean? So it's just being persistent with it. And with the offers, like, you're going to get majority of them rejected, and that's okay. Like the more no's you get, the quicker you'll get to that yes. So just having that persistence, you look like you guys understand that. So, yeah.
I mean, this, like, what your lessons that you obtain from the real estate market is so transferable, is the word I was looking for earlier. Transferable into the trading world so effortlessly. Like, yeah, you'll get a lot of no's, right? And for a lot of traders, a lot of systems, you know, they're losing 60% of the time, 70% of the time, but they're still able to generate profit and win in the end, you know? So, no, thanks, man. So you listed 3 characteristics: take responsibility, have integrity, and be persistent. Yeah, that's awesome, bro. I'm gonna bring it back. I have a question about like the stock market and real estate. So does the stock market have any effect on real estate? Like, in your opinion? Like, you know, you heard something, oh, the Dow's down today. Oh yeah, no wonder my windows are cheaper. You know, like,
Or I think lumbar at one point, I think 2020
lumber, yeah,
lumber
2020,
was
right.
nuts. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if it affected
Everyone was
your
building.
contractors. Right.
Yeah, no, we investors felt that, right? With higher bids and even with the windows, right? Longer wait times. So, like me personally, I don't pay attention to the stock market and see any correlation between it, but I'm sure there is, right? It's just kind of like what I said earlier about focusing on what I can control. Stock market, that, in my opinion, for me, would be a deviation from real estate. So, you know, if I start seeing prices go up or whatever, you know, I'm like, okay, I guess this is what we get to play with now. You know, how do we make the deal work? Yeah. Not necessarily like, okay, why is it going up? Like, is something in the stock market happening? Or
I find you adapt, right? You adapt a lot, like throughout this whole from start to finish where you're at now. Like I've noticed in your stories that you adapt to the changing markets all the time. I think that's key. That's key right there. You know, as traders, that's another thing we have to do too, man.
I mean, I appreciate you saying that, because honestly, the type of personality I have, I do not like change. So it's something that I've been working on intentionally, right? Being able to go with the flow and adapt, you know, so appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. I'll ask this one. Do you have any other investments other than real estate, or is it all in real estate?
Not all in real estate. I do have some precious metals like gold and silver, like in physical form. I have a little bit in crypto.
You got that gold chain, don't you, man? All the local boys got it. Come on. It's for the special nights.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got, you know, things like that I invest in, but I'm not like super focused on that kind of stuff. Does firearms count? I don't know, but
that's solid. Hey, that's a good investment right there. Yep. Guns and ammo for the end of the world.
The zombies.
Yeah. Food.
Aliens now. Aliens.
Food too. You know.
Yeah, some MRE bags or something.
Well, let's switch it up. Do you still journal? I remember you showed me your journal.
I do.
Yeah, you still do. Let's talk about that. Like, when did you get into it? What are you journaling? And then how does that affect your day?
So I started journaling probably around 2020 when I started getting into personal development work. When I was working with my first personal development coach. Yeah, so I was using the high performance planner, which, right there behind me, all of these colored ones are like journals. So yeah, I've been doing that for quite a bit now. And most recently, though, I switched it up. I'm an analytical person, right? Like, I like to see facts and numbers and so forth.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to visualize, like to tap into my creative side and like envision things and so forth. So what I've been doing lately in the last couple of weeks was I wanted to get good at visualization, because like a lot of big personal development names talk about it, right? Like visualize your wins, visualize like all of that stuff. But I had a hard time. So what I've been trying now is I would journal in the beginning of the day, pretending as if I'm at the end of the day and I'm writing about what happened throughout the day. So like even for this call, right? Like this morning, I wrote that I was on call with Glenn and Reed. We were having a great conversation. It was a fun time. It was relaxed, right? Just everything that I wanted to feel in this call, I'd write that down in my journal.
Are you feeling
that's my version of visualization.
I am. Yeah. You manifested it, didn't you? There you go. I feel it too, bro.
Right on. So yeah, you know, that's my version of journaling right now. It wasn't always like this. You know, I did the whole miracle morning thing.
Yeah.
You know, with the savers and doing that format, and the high performance journal. That was cool too. But right now, as far as journaling goes, it's really just creating a daily vision of how I want the day to go, and just, reflecting back to it throughout the day. So like before I hop on a call like this, or hop on a call with a client, I get to read it and remember, okay, this is the person who I get to be when I step into this call, right? I get to be a fun person. I get to be a confident person. I get to be a bold person, whatever it is. So I do that ahead of in the beginning of the day.
Yeah, you set the tone right. Like it. Speak it into existence.
Let's go. Do you still have those hourly reminders pop up on your phone, bro? No?
Yes.
Yeah.
Except they're not hourly anymore. I would say they're every 3
Talk about
hours.
that. Share a little bit about that.
So, okay. Yeah. So I mentioned, when I read my vision, I get to remember who I get to be when I step into these conversations, right? And I'll list certain qualities, like bold, courageous, honest, whatever it is. In the very beginning of my personal development journey, I did this exercise where basically I close my eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and I come up with 3 words that would describe my best self. So these are words that I would want my wife to describe me as, or like my family or close friends, or, whatever it is. These are words that I would want them to describe me as. And when I come up with those 3 words, I would program those 3 words as an alarm in my phone to go off every hour, or, I think it started off with every 6 hours, and then I would do it every hour, kind of a thing. But that way, when I'm going throughout the day, like, it's funny how it works, because I'll forget about it sometimes. But yeah, my phone will go off and it'll alarm, and I'll look at my phone and it'll have those 3 words, right? Bold, honest, courageous. And then I get to snap back into, okay, am I being bold right now? When I got to make this enrollment call, am I being honest right now when I'm with a client, or about to get on the phone with a client, and they're not putting in the work that they said they were going to do? You know what I mean? So that's been pretty cool. I don't do it every hour now, just because it kind of gets annoying. And I've kind of built up the habit as well, right? Like, I'm just, okay, man, like, I'm not being who I say I want to be. But yeah, that's basically what it is. Reminding me of who the best self is.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's being intentional, and then these little things are just the action taking, or the reminders, because it's so easy for us to get back into terrible habits, or the comfortable habits. So that's great.
Exactly.
Pushing
those triggers.
Right. Finding those ways to push yourself, get uncomfortable, remember to stay uncomfortable, or for growth, How would you define success? What is that? Does that change? Does that, when you start your journey in 2019, was that definition of success different from what it is now?
Yeah, I want to say it has changed, mainly because I can't remember what the definition of success was in 2019. I think I just wanted to get something started, and if I get one property, that would be like the best thing in my life ever, outside of my wife and kids.
Yeah.
And then it happened, and then just things change and life happens. And, if I were being honest, like, that's a hard question for me to answer. What's the definition of success? Just because I feel super blessed and grateful right now. You know what I mean? Like, to be able to be here on the call with you guys, to be able to take my daughter to school now, and to just, like, I feel super blessed. Like, by no means do I feel like I'm where I want to be in terms of what what God has placed in my heart to achieve. I still have a lot of work ahead of me to do. And at the same time, I'm grateful, for where I am. I never want to arrive, I guess. So, like, I guess it's challenging for me to set that definition of success.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what I do want, though, is I want to have healthy relationships, with my wife and my kids, and the people close around me. I do want to have a healthy body, right? I want to take care of this temple that God's given me, and I want to be able to give back generously. So maybe in that sense, that could be my definition of success. But it's nothing really that I guess I consciously think about as far as what success looks like, just because I'm grateful. I have goals that I work toward. I have targets that I want to hit. As long as I'm taking action and moving forward, I'm good with that. So yeah, sorry, I don't have a better answer.
No, that was great, man. I think a person that's successful, they are that way because they come from a grateful attitude and a grateful heart of what they have, and then they're open to more. So I think being grateful is a attribute of success as well. And you listed healthy relationships, healthy body, and giving back generously to whatever it is. So those are good answers, man. Thanks for that. Thanks for answering.
Cool.
So What has you excited for like the rest of the year or leading up to next year and going into next year?
I gotta say, so like we're heading into you know, Q3, right? Oh, Q4. And the thing I'm excited about most is really just I'm stepping into different roles in my life. Like earlier today, I commit to stepping into something that's gonna take up a lot of my time for the next 6, 7 weeks that I'm excited about. And just seeing, so earlier this year, I left my job, like I shared earlier. And this has been a great year of just seeing what I was capable of. And working up to this point, I'm just excited about for setting higher goals, bigger targets, and just seeing the results of that just through intention and commitment and just being persistent with it. So I'm very optimistic for Q4. I'm excited for it. And even if I don't hit the big goals that I set, I mean, it's really about who I am becoming in the process. Am I the type of person that can hit that type of goal when everything's said and done? If I am, I'm good with that. If I hit the goal, even better. So that's what I'm excited for. Just setting new goals, trying different things and seeing what results from that.
Just a side question. What would you tell people? You know how people wait till New Year resolution, New Year, new me. What kind of advice would you give them when it comes to, something like that? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like to always ask, what's the thought behind waiting? Like, why not now? Well, why? Yeah, like just approaching it from a curious mind. And then from there, and I don't know if it's just because the whole coaching thing, right? I just go into that mode, but really it's, yeah, like you say you want this, the longer you wait, you're just delaying the better future. So if you started today, like you could get there that much sooner. So just being curious about like, what's the thought behind wanting to wait till New Year's or when circumstances are right,
yeah, yeah. It's never the perfect time, right?
I wish there were, but
Yeah,
it doesn't work that way.
100%. As we wind down the conversation, I want to ask, what, our podcasts are the name of it, Edge Up. What does that mean to you when you hear that Edge Up? Like, what does that mean?
Comes to mind for me is just like becoming better, like doesn't matter what you're facing, doesn't matter the circumstances around you, there's always another level. So just, do whatever you can to get to that next step. That's what comes to mind when I hear Edge Up, or yeah, that's basically what it is.
Any last thing for the audience you want to share?
I would say this is one of my favorite quotes, Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right either way. So
yes,
if you think you can't start today, you're right. You can't start today, because of X, Y, and Z. But if you choose to believe that you can start today despite X, Y, and Z, you're right as well. So yeah, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right either way.
Love it. Love it.
great quote, bro. Great quote.
Where can we send our people to find you, our audience? Will it be a best place?
I would say I'm pretty active on social media. On Instagram, my handle is at Breaking Rhythm. It's one word. Or you can find me on my website, reicharge.com. I got some free tools and resources there as well for out-of-state investing that you can check out.
Cool, man. That's dope. Thank you for coming on. I have one last question for you. What podcast would you be listening to right now?
I've been liking, it's called Action Academy by Brian Lubin. All about taking action and
Action Academy.
Not trying to plug him, but I am part of his mastermind too. Great community.
Cool.
A lot of other, successful entrepreneurs and so forth. But that's basically what I'm listening to right now. That and The Game, Alex Hormozy.
Is that the marketer guy?
Cool.
Yeah. With he wears like the nose strip.
Yeah. Like
Oh yeah. I've seen him a lot on social media now. He's marketing very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's all about like leading with value, just giving a ton of stuff away for free. And
interesting.
Yeah, he's good. I like the stuff I've seen.
What got you listening to the Alex guy?
I think I probably saw like one of his reels or something and it sounded interesting. And then, or I might have heard him first on Andy Frizella's podcast, Real AF.
Yeah.
Love Andy.
Yeah.
Have you done 75 hard?
I have attempted it.
Yeah, same. Glenn, our man right here, Glenn did it.
This guy.
Come on.
Go, it's in the mind, bro. It's in the mind.
Yeah.
I tell you.
Yeah. I give you credit, man. It's not easy. Like it is mindset. When I was doing it with another guy and he fell off. He forgot to take a picture on like day 40 something. And I was like, oh, that's not cool. Like, I'll start over with you. And that was like the worst thing because like it just derailed me. And the best I ever did was like a week or so. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think like day 63 is when I forgot to take a photo, man. And I was so mad because Andy's like, start over. And then I was listening to Andy, brother Andy, I love you, man. But he's like, yeah, guess what, guys? Like, I failed. I didn't get it. He didn't do something. He's like, but guess what? I'm just going to keep on going. And I was like, dog, like, I could have just kept going too, but it is what it is. It's cool. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that podcast though. They keep it real.
Yeah,
I was listening to that almost
He's
every
solid,
day too.
solid influence. I'm
His
gonna list
energy,
that one down.
his energy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I got to thank Reed because he kind of got courted me to join him for 75 Hard last year. And I'm glad I did, definitely learned a lot about myself and the commitment and the action, dude. Like, I think I got sick during that time, wanted to give up.
Yeah, you did, dude. What a boss. Michael Jordan over here.
Yeah, Michael Jordan. I think on Christmas Eve, I think we're like 2 days away on Christmas Eve. I was like, screw this, bro.
Oh yeah, and Brandon, so like we just initially decided to do 75 Hard through the holidays because it's the hardest time of the year. And so I was like, that's like a next level right there too. So I think mad props to Glenn over there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Man.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you guys for listening in with Brandon from Breaking Rhythm or REICharge.com. Guys, check him out if you're looking to get it started into your real estate investing, or, getting coached from him as well. So, go check him out. Thank you guys for listening.